Hey everyone, welcome back to Malaysia in Focus, your deep dive into the stories, data, and urban shifts shaping our country today. Because behind those shiny million ringgit property brochures lies a hidden layer of data that completely flips the script on what makes a Kuala Lumpur neighborhood truly valuable. Normally when we talk about real estate in KL, we get totally caught up in the marketing hype. Developers are fantastic at selling us the dream of infinity pools, grand lobbies, and those fancy European-sounding condo names. But today, we're stripping all of that away. We're looking at a purely data-backed, strategic urban report. This explainer decodes how the city actually works, layer by layer, so you can see the real, tangible value hidden right beneath the surface. In today's explainer, we're going to deconstruct this step by step. We'll look at the hidden property trap, how infrastructure kills value, structural immunity, the transit illusion, how the pros actually invest, and finally, your next property move.
Let's jump straight into part one, the hidden property trap. We really need to dismantle this classic price per square foot myth that traps so many eager buyers.
Seriously, have you ever wondered why properties that are geographically right next door to each other have completely different valuations? It's something that confuses so many house hunters. You pull up a map, and two condos are practically sharing a fence. They're literally a stone's throw away. Yet one is priced 40% lower than the other. Most of us just assume it's about the developer's brand or maybe the finishing of the building. We think, well, maybe the expensive one just has nicer tiles. But the data tells us a completely different story. It has absolutely nothing to do with tiles and everything to do with urban planning.
We call this the 500-meter arbitrage. It's basically a massive price difference for the exact same location. Take Mont Kiara. It's an internationally focused enclave, and properties here sit comfortably around 750 to 1100 ringgit per square foot. The secret? It operates on a master-planned, functional grid. You've got proper walkways, wide avenues, and you can easily walk down to 163 Retail Park without fearing for your life. But if you step just 500 meters away into the pockets of Sigambat Dalam, the price literally drops off a cliff to between 450 and 600 ringgit per square foot. Why? Because you are leaving that master-plan grid and entering a zone with narrow, village-grade roads. These old roads are totally choking under the weight of massive, high-density condos. That huge price gap isn't about geography at all. It's driven entirely by road width and zoning.
And that stark contrast brings us to part two, infrastructure as the ultimate value killer. The crucial concept you absolutely need to understand is infrastructural friction. This is essentially the silent tax you pay on your property's value when developers build these hyperdense condos but the city never upgrades the legacy roads to match. Think of it like pouring a whole gallon of water through a tiny, narrow funnel. That intense bottleneck is exactly what happens when thousands of new residents move into a shiny new tower block, but they all have to squeeze through a single-lane road built for a quiet village 30 years ago. It creates immense daily gridlock. You're stuck in your car for 45 minutes just trying to get out of your own neighborhood. And that daily frustration? That is the exact reason why those properties cannot command a premium price, no matter how beautiful the lobby is.
If this breakdown is helping you see KL in a clearer picture, hit like and subscribe so you'll always stay ahead on Malaysia's biggest issues. Be part of an informed community that's getting the real data first.
So, where is his friction hitting the hardest? When we map this out, we find these least livable zones where daily friction is actively destroying property value. Look at Jijang Utara. You've got fragmented, old-new village roads mixing directly with heavy industrial traffic. That means worse air quality, constant noise, and dodging heavy lorries every time you run out for groceries. We already talked about Sigambat Dalam. Then you have specific older pockets of Old Klang Road suffering from intense traffic saturation and localized flash flood risks because the infrastructure just can't keep up. And right near the city center, places like Pudu and Sanpang have hyperdense, aging infrastructure. They severely lack green space, and their outdated drainage grids from decades ago just struggle to cope. The concrete is so dense there's nowhere for the water to go. So honestly, it doesn't matter how close you live to KLCC if your main access road goes underwater every November.
Okay, let's flip the script. Part 3. Structural immunity explained. We've seen what destroys value, so what actually protects it? If you are buying a home for yourself to actually live in every day, you are essentially paying for structural immunity to eliminate that daily stress. This is your ultimate defense against the infrastructural friction we just talked about. It's not about the infinity pool. It's about physical features built directly into the land itself that permanently protect you from the chaos outside. It's about inherent advantages that simply cannot be replicated or ruined by a random new development popping up next door.
The data brilliantly illustrates the difference here. Topography is a massive long-term asset. Look at Bukit Damansara. Because of its higher elevation, it's virtually flood-proof. Plus, that elevation and greenery naturally mitigate the urban heat island effect, keeping the area naturally cooler. Or take Desa Park City, the gold standard for master planning in KL. It uses a massive central park and lake as a permanent green lawn and an environmental buffer. These features are literal market-proof shields. Compare that high structural immunity to the low environmental resilience of Padu, where dense concrete and outdated drainage leave residents totally vulnerable every time it rains heavily. When you buy structural immunity, you are quite literally buying peace of mind.
Moving on to Part 4, the transit illusion. Does a shiny new rail line automatically fix a neighborhood?
This is a huge misconception in the KL market right now. Many buyers mistakenly equate having an MRT station directly with having a truly walkable, seamless lifestyle. Developers heavily advertise transit-oriented development, or TOD. They slap it on a billboard, and suddenly people think they are buying into a pedestrian paradise where they'll never need a car again. But we have to ask, is that actually the reality on the ground?
The data calls these areas the in-between spaces. While massive new transit lines turn places like Cheras and Kapong into transit powerhouses, they don't erase the frustration of internal, non-walkable commercial grids. Think about it. The MRT Kaenjing line is fantastic, but the minute you step out of the station, the intense MRR2 highway congestion is right there. You can't safely walk across a massive multi-lane highway to grab dinner. The MRT Putrajaya line significantly boosts the value of Kapong, for sure, but try walking down its highly urbanized, densely packed internal roads. It's tough, it's hot, and it's noisy. And over in Sentul, you have this sharp divide. Premium, manicured gated islands like Sentul West exist right next door to older, highly congested legacy zones. Transit upgrades your accessibility to the rest of KL, yes, but it doesn't magically fix the local street-level friction right outside your front gate.
So, Part 5, how investors actually buy. How do the pros use this data differently than your average homebuyer?
It all comes down to applying two very distinct filters: yield versus friction. If an everyday person is buying for self-live, they naturally prioritize risk mitigation. They want structural immunity, so they watch the walkability index and green space ratios to avoid the friction trap entirely. But if a seasoned player is buying strictly for investment, they flip the strategy. Investors don't necessarily look for the prettiest, most livable place today. They look for infrastructure arbitrage. They look for areas where the property prices are still relatively cheap, but a massive new MRT line is secretly about to change the game. They compare the upcoming connectivity against the currently low price per square foot. They are betting entirely on the future transformation. A savvy investor knows that a least livable area getting a new MRT station is really just an in-between zone in the making. They map everything onto this neighborhood maturity life cycle. Phase 1 is your starting point. High friction, maybe a bit run down, very undervalued. The average buyer avoids it completely. Then comes Phase 2. This is the catalyst, like the government announcing a new MRT station. Phase 3 is that in-between zone we just talked about. The station is open, but the legacy traffic is still a headache. Finally, you reach Phase 4, gentrified maturity. Trendy cafes move in. The area is fully repriced, and it's way too late to get a bargain. The secret? Smart investors buy heavily in Phase 2 or early Phase 3. They happily wait it out, exploiting that transit discount before the rest of the market catches on.
Which brings us to our final section, your next property move. It's time to apply this insider matrix.
I absolutely love this insight from the data. Most people fail because they treat these labels as permanent. I see them as phases of maturity. The real money in KL real estate is made by spotting which zones are actively transitioning from one category to the next before the broader market fully reprices them. Remember, a neighborhood isn't permanently bad or permanently good. It's constantly evolving along that life cycle. If you're buying a home for your family to live in for the next 10 years, buy structural immunity, pay for the peace of mind. But if you're investing your capital to build wealth, you need to actively look for that infrastructure lag.
Thanks for watching. Join thousands of Malaysians who want clarity, not confusion. Tap like, hit subscribe, and let's keep making sense of this together.
Now I want to hand it over to you. Which KL zone are you betting on next? Drop your coordinates or your specific neighborhood in the comments below, and let's debate its structural immunity versus its infrastructural friction. Is your area an in-between zone, or is it hitting full gentrified maturity? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.